The average solo GP is dead. Being handcuffed to a practice that only makes money while you're drilling crushes your freedom. Being trapped at the office is no way to experience life. And doing more fillings and crowns ain't the answer to freedom. Stop it. Freedom comes when your practice makes money without you. Freedom is choosing how many days and how you dental. Ready to forge your freedom? Then keep listening to become a super GP and super CEO. This is the Titanium Practice Podcast with your host, Dr. Stephen Freeman. Let's go.
Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to another Thunderdome edition of the Titanium Practice Podcast on a free-for-all Friday, where we're just going to discuss whatever kind of comes into my head here. But I do have some thoughts. Not too long ago, Valentine's Day passed, and I was thinking to myself, there are kind of two things that really jump out at me about Valentine's Day. And obviously, the first one being showing some people some love. And so I will start off by saying I love all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening to all these wonderful thoughts, feelings, emotions, all that wonderful stuff that I've got. You make it all possible. You're the reason I get up and I talk and I talk and I talk and I talk and I talk. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you so much for tuning in. While I'm at it, I might as well just ask you to hit the subscribe button too to make sure that you are always getting the latest episode of the Titanium Practice Podcast. But I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. But the bigger thing is who do you need to be showing some love to on this Valentine's Day month, week, year, all that good stuff? Who do you need to be showing some love to? But also thinking about, as a kid, you come up, you make those cute little boxes in class, and you got a printed out list of everyone in your class because you can't possibly exclude that weird kid in your class that you really don't want to give a Valentine's Day card to, but you have to do it anyways. I mean, I think back to the Simpsons episode, for those of you who are old enough to even watch it, and Lisa Simpson feels bad because Ralph has been left out of the Valentine's Day card giving, and so she ends up giving him a Valentine's Day card that says, "I choose you." And then Ralph thinks that means that Lisa likes him. But in reality, she was just taking pity on him. But at the same time, everyone gets a prize these days. Everyone gets a Valentine's Day card. But that Valentine's Day card, who do you need to be making a meaningful connection to in your life? Who have you been ignoring? We're so used to just texting people now. We just send off a text or we post something on our socials and we don't even really think or connect with the person on the other side of that text or post. Who do you need to reach back out to and tell them thank you? Tell them that you love them. I love using the term love. I mean, it's such a powerful emotion. Do you have, when's the last time you actually wrote a thank you note to your office manager? I mean, do you know how much shit they put up with? Well, first off, they put up with you. So that in and of itself deserves a big thank you note. But when's the last time you actually wrote a thank you note to them? I refuse to believe that handwritten notes will ever go out of style. They will always mean something more than simply just texting something and simply saying whatever's on your mind in that moment. Because a lot of the time, you're probably bitching to that person a whole lot more than you're praising them, telling them how much you mean to them in this world. I've mentioned before, my office manager, Amy, oh my God, the stuff she puts up with me, I told her recently, I said, I would never work for me. That sounds like the worst job in the entire world. She has to listen to me to complain about things, complain just about patients, people, problems. And she doesn't just do it. She does it with a smile on her face. And finding people like that in your life, oh man, you cannot let that go without sending a meaningful thank you to them. And that doesn't mean you have to buy them something. That doesn't, just people want to be thanked and they want to be appreciated. So what have you done to meaningfully connect? When's the last time you said to your mom, hey, thanks for having me? Your mom carried you for 9 freaking months and never put you down. When's the last time you said thank you to her for doing that for you? It's crazy. Or your wife who had your kids. Holy crap. I mean, she gave you the greatest gift ever. Just taking a moment to write a note and say thank you. Is there a professor from school, a clinical instructor from dental school that maybe made a profound impact on you? I mean, man, I remember one time, it was Dr. Day who was the one that was looking over me in clinic. And I went in and in theory, it was just a simple occlusal composite that I'm supposed to be doing. And I go in, clean out the decay, or so I thought. I come back to, he said, I need a check, come on over. He said, you still got decay. Just clean it up a little bit more, come and get me. Clean it up a little bit more. And we went round and round doing this. I felt like such a schmuck. I felt awful. I was just like, I'm never going to be a good dentist at all. I couldn't clean out obvious, visible decay out of this lady's tooth. But Dr. Day, I came up to him later and I apologized. I mean, I felt terrible for the patient. I felt terrible for Dr. Day. I felt terrible that I had failed him. And yet he just puts his arm around me and says, that's why they call it the practice of dentistry. You'll do better tomorrow. And it meant the world to me. And I sent a letter not too long ago to Dr. Day to say that I remembered that interaction and how he helped me get through that. So there's just people in your life you can go back to and send them a card, send them some type of meaningful connection other than just simply a text to let them know how much you care about them and how much you appreciate all the amazing things that people have done for you, are going to do for you, and then continually do it for you. As far as showing people some love, I mean, obviously, please take care of your spouse and significant others. I mean, again, they probably listen to you bitch about stuff even more than your office manager does. It's amazing the emotional effect that the office has on your life. When things are going great, things seem to be going great at home. When they suck at the office, they seem to suck at home. And they take the brunt of that. And they either have to listen to it or wonder why it is that you're in such a bad mood. But love on those people and let them know how much you appreciate that. What about your team? So when's the last time you bought your team lunch? And that again goes into culture, and we're going to talk about culture in other podcasts. But just generally speaking, when's the last time you bought them lunch? And it doesn't need to be anything extravagant. We do pizza a lot. We do a ton of pizza. It's easy, it's simple, and everyone likes pizza except for my sister, and that's a whole nother story. But everyone likes pizza. It's simple to do. It's relatively inexpensive. It can be delivered to the office, so we don't need to interrupt anything. And you're certainly welcome to do something more extravagant, but I'm always trying to push the easy button on things. I want to make it as simple as possible. And if you send a couple of pies to the office, you'd be amazed the reaction you can get, especially if you don't do it very often. So when's the last time you loved on your team? And you can also show them like bigger things of appreciation. When's the last time you just handed them $50? I mean, or $100. It makes their day, and it doesn't seem like that much money to you. But I know for sure there's that one assistant in your office that just kicks ass more than the other assistants in the office. When's the last time you went up to her and just said, I thank you so much for what you do for this office. Here's $50. Do it away from the rest. But I mean, that will buy you so much loyalty and appreciation to let them know that you're loving on them and that you care about them. It's amazing. I mean, it just buys you so much leeway, and it's way worth more than just the $50 that you are actually handing to them. Another one is loving on yourself. When's the last time you took time for yourself? When's the last time you exercised? Now, I talked about having kind of that perfect morning of getting up and going and exercising, and we're going to continue talking about exercising in just a minute with New Year's resolutions. But when's the last time you loved on yourself? When's the last time you bought yourself something fun? I've talked about in the past about, like a video game, an experience, something dumb, but that's just for you. A lot of the time as parents, we kind of get sucked in and trying to take care of our parents, maybe taking care of our loved ones and loving on them too much, and not focusing on ourselves. And it's okay to do that. It's cool to do that. You're making money, you're working hard. You should make sure that you get fun things for yourself every once in a while, and make sure that you're spending time with your friends. You know, I see a lot of couples where maybe the spouse doesn't let the other spouse go out and do something with their friends. You got to be able to do that. You got to take time for yourself. You got to take time to make sure you're recharging your battery so that you can be giving in all those situations and present in all those situations in these other people's lives. So please make sure that you're taking time for yourself and you're loving on yourself and you're having some free time. Okay? So that's what I got for Valentine's Day. As I started to talk about exercise, let's switch on over to New Year's resolutions. So obviously we're not too far into the year, and guess what? Everybody's given up on their New Year's resolutions. It happens every single year. It happens so much faster than anybody thinks that it's going to happen. And yet, somehow we keep deciding that we're going to keep doing them every single year. I personally gave up on New Year's resolutions a long time ago. I try to, and we have another exercise where we talk about the character that you want to be. Who is the ideal, not necessarily what you are now, but the ideal of what you are striving to be as a person? Are you someone who is very generous with their time? Are you someone of very high character? Are you the best dad you can possibly be? What is the makeup of your character? And so I try to come up with a word, and again, I struggle with it. I'm human and I struggle with things, and I've used it more than one time of using the word present to represent a being there in people's lives, particularly my wife and my kids' lives, of not being on my phone all the time. I quit Facebook long ago. I have other social accounts, but it's just for Titanium practice and for business purposes. I have no social media for me personally at all. It is just simply for business purposes that I have those, but I still get stuck on the phone, and I've done everything I can. So I only keep my phone at the house. I have a watch, and so I just wear an Apple Watch everywhere I go, so that I'm able to be contacted, but I'm not sucked into the phone and not being present in people's lives. So sometimes I like to choose a word, and I choose present sometimes. I try to choose just a word that I want to live up to that year, or a word on my list of those character traits of what I want to be, and do that versus just coming up with a New Year's resolution. Because obviously the most popular one is I'm going to lose weight this year. I think a lot of the reason that these New Year's resolutions fail is because it's about a date and not necessarily an event that you can commit to. So I think it's easier. God forbid if you see maybe like your dad die of a heart attack, I think it's easier to say well, shit, I don't want that to happen to me. And as an American male listening to this, that's almost assuredly the reason that you'll die someday is because of heart disease. I know that's a crappy thought to have, but it needs to be more of like a triggering event that gets people to commit to something like losing weight or changing a particular behavior, not just the flipping of a calendar, but there needs to be a triggering moment to make that all occur. The other thing is that it seems so overwhelming. If you've ever lost weight, and again, I'll go back to using that as an example. When you start to lose weight and you're just like, oh, cool, I lost 5 pounds. And then you look at it, you keep struggling and you lose 10 pounds. And you look at yourself and you start to say, oh my God, I have to lose so much more weight for this to seem meaningful in some capacity, to actually show that I've lost weight. It seems overwhelming. It seems impossible. if you can take an idea, so again, if you take that whole idea of this character, of this person that I want to be, and I have a whole list of awesome character traits about this person that I want to be, and you chunk it up into that one idea, again, going back to being, I want to be present in my kids' lives, but maybe there's 10 words describing who I want to be, it's much easier to focus on becoming one of those things. So to think of it from the standpoint of losing weight, say, well, I'm just going to exercise more. I'm going to commit to walking 20 minutes a day. Well, you're almost assuredly going to lose some weight, probably not an enormous amount of weight, but you're probably going to lose some weight if you go from walking no time in the day to walking 20 minutes a day. You'll end up losing weight. So if you chunk things up into more manageable bites, you will find out that the larger thing will be accomplished, and it might take more time, but you're going to get there. And that's the same idea for all of this that I talk about in all these podcasts and other consultants and other things that you've tried to do in your life as far as the practice is concerned, that if you look at this massive goal, some of you want to have $1 million practice, some of you want to have a $2 million practice, and then you look at your practice right now and say, holy crap, how am I ever going to achieve that? Well, if you chunk those things up and say, well, I'm going to try to accomplish these 1 or 2 things this year, then that is a step to bring you toward that larger goal and not something that you're going to try to do all at once. One of my favorite sayings is, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. That's how you do it. You don't get there by shoving the whole elephant down your mouth. You need to just chunk it up, do a little bit every day over a long period of time. And what you're going to find out is that you can accomplish it. I'm as impatient of a person as anybody else, and it's difficult for me sometimes to think about that concept of chunking it up, being patient, step by step. One of my other favorite movies, What About Bob, which is a good one because it's got Bill Murray in it. We're going to talk about Bill Murray again in just a second, is the idea of baby steps. So in that movie, there's a guy who's got some maybe potential mental, social issues, and the whole idea is he's just going to go at it a little bit at a time, baby stepping, until finally he's able to do things like sailing that he wasn't able to ever do before, and he ends up being able to do things that he never thought he could do, and he didn't accomplish all those things at once, but he baby stepped himself in his way of finally getting there to the point of being able to accomplish his goals, and eventually, essentially ridding himself of all that social anxiety and mental problems that he was having to be able to do those things. Another thing that I think is that people don't have accountability. If you don't have accountability, you don't have anyone to answer to. And there's only so far that looking in the mirror can go to making yourself accountable for things. And you know what? I can be your accountability buddy. Okay? I can be there for you to make sure that you are progressing towards your goals. If you don't have someone there to guide you there, it's just not going to happen. Because again, it seems too overwhelming. How do you chunk it up? How do you decide what comes first? It can be very, very overwhelming, but if you have somebody to help you be accountable to make those baby steps, how to get there, someone who has done it before, it's extremely difficult to do. So I can be that person for you. The community can be that person for you, but you need to be held accountable, and you need to state these goals and write them down so that you can someday actually get them achieved. Okay? So that closes my thoughts on New Year's resolutions of make sure that we kind of chunk things up, have accountability, and then you kind of need to have a triggering event to make this all happen, and most people don't have that in their lives. So it can't just be, I want to grow a bigger practice. You kind of need to have a reason behind that, and we can help you have that reason and figure that all out. So I'd mentioned the fact that I was going to talk about Bill Murray, so we're going to stick with February here and keep talking about holidays in February. For whatever reason, I decided to go down that path and talk about Groundhog Day. Great movie with Bill Murray. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but basically the idea is that the same thing in that movie happens over and over and over again. And no matter what Bill Murray does, no matter how he tries to end his day, He just ends up back in his bed, waking up, listening to the same Sonny and Cher song, I Got You, Babe, over and over and over again. So what are my thoughts on that? I've got two of them, okay? What do you keep doing over and over and over again that is not getting you results? This can be personal. Some people exercise thinking that they're going to lose lots of weight exercising. I'm a big fan of believing that exercise is incredibly important for your health, but it has a very small effect on how much weight you're going to lose. And so they think that I can out-exercise a bad diet, and they keep doing it. And they say, well, I'll go to the gym for 20 minutes. I'll go to the gym for 40 minutes. I'll go to the gym for 3 hours. And you end up looking exactly the same, and that's just madness. So obviously everyone knows the definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you think that you're going to get a different result and that you'll finally turn up the magic 8-ball answer to yes, that is the answer. And in reality, you're just going to keep up pulling it up unlikely or no or whatever. So figure out the things that you're doing in your life right now that are not getting you results. And though you keep doing it, you keep ending up with the same exact results. So for me, when I think about that and talking to you guys, is the idea of you thinking you're going to obtain freedom by more fillings and crowns. It ain't going to happen. It's just not. You cannot get yourself to where you need to be for the amount of freedom that I think you want by doing more fillings and crowns. God knows it ain't fillings. Oh, good Lord. I mean, you cannot fill your way to prosperity. I promise you that. It's just not going to happen. So if you keep doing those things and you keep not getting the results that you want financially, personally, emotionally, all that stuff, you need to be doing something different. For me, what I would tell you to do is you need to graduate to becoming a super GP, doing specialist procedures, and that will be your key to getting you out of either the dental chair altogether or out of it as much as you want to be able to be out of it. Again, you want to work 2 days? Great. 1 day? Great. No days? Great. Go learn how to become a super CEO at that point in time so you can really blow up the profits of your practice and make it something that's really worthwhile and something that's really, really fun. I didn't start having a lot of fun in my practice until I became, hopefully, a super CEO, or at least what I believe qualifies as one. That's when things really become fun and it becomes a practice that you don't want to get rid of and it's fun to go to. And for me, for the most part, it's like hanging out with my friends when I go to the office because I love the people that are there. I love interacting with them. I love having fun with them. I love having experiences with them. So for me, I would encourage you to look to see where do you keep doing things and that you do over and over and over again, and you keep expecting a different result. And I bet if you sit down, you can find five things real fast, personal, professionally, that will show you are not getting the result you want because you keep trying to do these things and you keep hoping and praying that they're going to give you a different result. We can show you some things to do in order to get a different result. And so we can change that, get you off that hamster wheel or the groundhog wheel, whatever, to get you moving in the direction that you want to be moving toward. The other is when I think about Groundhog Day is, the whole thing is based upon, did the groundhog see its shadow? Was it scared of its shadow when it came on out? And then I start to say, is like, what are you scared of? I actually had to tell myself at one point in time, don't be scared to be rich. There are a lot of people out there who were raised being told that money is evil, being rich is evil. Part of that is religious. Part of that is just the view that the family had while you were being raised that you should not be rich. I did not have it from that standpoint. I had it from more of I was scared to do the specialty procedures. I swore forever. My father was an oral surgeon. He told me I should place implants. He encouraged me to place implants, but I swore forever that I was never, ever going to place dental implants. I was scared to do it. Well, just so happened I had a surgeon in the area who kept on sending me cases back. And he kept on sending me cases, and I talk about doctors having bad days. All of us have had a bad day. We have all screwed up a procedure, and you wish that you could have it back. We all make mistakes. We are practicing. Remember, we're in the practice of dentistry. I was also scared of the fact that everyone said that there are specialists. You're supposed to just refer that stuff to specialists. How do you do orthodontics? Here's a referral pad. That's how you do orthodontics. And I can tell you can do 80% of the orthodontics that walks through your door right now. Braces, my gosh, 80% of the brace cases that walk through your door are brain dead simple to do. And you can do them in 18 months. And you got patients giving you hugs and parents giving you hugs and people smiling and being excited and paying their bill, actually. It's like a big party when you do ortho because people are excited about it because it's want-based. They want the thing. And it's the closest thing I can think of is I think of all these plastic surgeons out there that are so lucky that get to do breast augmentation because everybody wants it. The husband wants it. The wife wants it. It's expensive. Everyone's excited about doing it. Talk about fish in a barrel type of situation for elective breast augmentation. It's great. So what is the closest thing we can do in dentistry that is, for the most part, elective based that everybody wants? It's braces. Holy crap. And then insurance can help kick in for some of it too. Oh man, you gotta be doing it. It's so easy, especially once you get your assistants trained and doing it. You've got excited, happy patients. When's the last time you got a hug for a crown? Maybe never. Maybe you did a bunch of veneers and crowns for someone and totally transformed their smile. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, the cracked, mesiolingual cusp of number 18 and did a crown on number 18. And you were gagging the patient the whole time because you had to hold their tongue out of the way. And then the assistant's keeping their cheek out of the way. And that person's not standing up and giving you a hug. And then they're probably going to bitch about their bill at the same time, even though insurance help kicked in for that thing too. It's so cool. So, but that all started from a place of fear of I wasn't supposed to do the specialty procedures. You 1,000% can. Can you do every one of them walks through your door? Hell no. You don't want to either. The number of times you get stuck with something that's difficult. In my book, I talk about the fact that start with class 1 molar occlusion for ortho. It's just easy. You can do class 2. There are things about class 3 you can do, but man, the difficulty level goes up. Don't start with those. Get your feet wet. Learn how to do this. Have some fun with it. Teach your assistants how to get those ligatures on and off, which we tell you to do them with built-in ligatures and not even with the little rubber ligatures that you have to take off every single time the patient comes in. We just show you how to do the easy button so you can get comfortable doing this and get through these things. We show you how to do endo. 80% of the endo that walks in your office you can do too. It's easy. It's pretty fast too. Are you going to be fast when you first start? No, you're not. Can you screw it up? Hell yeah, you can screw it up. You can screw up that number 18 crown that I just talked about. Gosh, lacerating the patient's tongue when they go to swallow and you're not expecting it. Is your margin perfect as you go around that distal and that pad sticking up over the top of the back of that tooth and you don't have great retention form when you go to place the crown on that tooth? You can screw that up too. If you didn't do all the stuff because of all the stuff you fear doing, you're not going to get very far. So, and not to keep on using the ortho example, but what I love about ortho too is everyone thinks it's going to take forever. We tell you in the consultation, just tell them it's going to take over 2 years. So if you put them in braces and then something didn't go exactly the way you expected to, in an adjustment you made in 1 month, just fix it on the next month. If you meant to spin it to the mesial and it spun to the distal, well, guess what? Just do the opposite of what you did. It'll spin into the spot you want it to. I mean, you don't want to be doing this stuff on purpose, but the point is that it's fixable and not to be afraid of it. It's fun. It's fun stuff to do, and you should be learning how to do that stuff more. But I was sure I was never going to place implants, and I lost count somewhere around 5,000 implants. I don't even know anymore how many implants I've done at this point in time. But it was because I kept looking at what was coming from the oral surgeon, and I said, I can do better than that or do as well as that. And again, it's not, I got some back that were good. I definitely got some back that were good. And everyone's got bad days, so I'm not even ragging on them. It's just more of the point of, we were taught in school to put these specialists on such a pedestal, and they're just doctors too. And they're out there trying their best, and they do really good work. And then every once in a while they do some really crappy work. It's the same as you. It's the same as me. So you don't need to be scared of doing this stuff. You don't need to be afraid to get in there and do the things that are going to truly move the dial in your life. Don't be afraid of that failure. Because guess what? If you place 1,000 implants and you have a 5% failure rate, you're going to have 50 failures. And anybody who tells you that they haven't had an implant fail, and you probably heard this before, has just not placed enough implants. It just comes with it. Sometimes the body just doesn't want it. Sometimes you place it on a diabetic, then they didn't even know they were diabetic at the time. This implant fails. Okay, so be it. We talked to you about how to fix that, and it's not a big deal. As long as you're upfront and honest with the patient and treat them well, it's fine. I'm not telling you to go out there and fail on purpose. I'm just saying there's ways around it. You do your best, and sometimes your best isn't good enough. And it doesn't matter if you're doing a filling. How many ever open margins have you had on fillings and crowns? You tried your best. You weren't trying to be rude to them. You're trying to be mean to them. You failed. It's okay. We fix it. We move on. It's awesome. Okay? As long as you're good to the patient and you're trying your best, it doesn't matter if you're doing a filling, doing an implant, doing endo. It doesn't matter. You're trying your best. And as long as you're trying your best, it's going to all work out, and you're going to take care of people and love on people. It'll all work out, and you'll have the life that you want to. Just stick to that. You'll be in great shape. Okay? All right. Well, I probably rattled on enough for today. If you want to download my book over there at titaniumpractice.com, get a copy of that book so we can start learning how to do super GP procedures and learn about some other things as well. I love having you on the show. Really appreciate you guys listening. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, you can reach out to us on our socials so we can start to make a connection there, even if it's not as meaningful a connection as doing it in handwritten or in person. And I will talk to you some other time, you knuckleheads. I appreciate it. Be good out there. Be good to your patients. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Titanium Practice Podcast with your host, Dr. Stephen Freeman. Please hit the like and subscribe button and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Titanium Practice. Questions or comments? Send an email to info@titaniumpractice.com. Join us next time to help turn your average practice into a titanium practice.